Welcome to the Popcorn Perspective. It's AK with another video. This time going over the first four episodes of The Boys Season 4 from Amazon. This would be the mid-season review since four episodes have been released and there's only four episodes left of the season. Um, Overall, this has been one of the most wild adventures so far. Definitely, episode 4 was the highlight of the season thus far, but want to go over just my quick thoughts, and my quick review on everything we've seen thus far of season 4 and where I believe the story will go from here on out. So, the season starts off exactly where Gen V and The Boys season 3 ends. It ends with the reveal that Butcher has a disease or virus, and unfortunately, he only has around 6 to 7 months left to live. And Ryan, Butcher's and Homelander's quote unquote son, he joins Team Homelander, and Homelander is now in trial for the murder of a protester at the end of season 3. So that's kind of what things are left behind. We start the episode 1 with the CIA tasking the group, the boys, to eliminate Newman. As we know, Newman is now the vice president nominee for president for the presidential election, which coincides perfectly with what's going on in current society with an election season coming up. We do know that Newman is a suit, but has hidden her powers from society. So society thinks she is anti-suit, wants regulation on suit, but she is indirectly working with Vought and with Homelander, as Edgar, the previous CEO of Vought, was basically her surrogate dad. Um, so Newman is now basically working to become the new vice president, and she is campaigning with Singer, the presidential nominee, for the Democrat Party ticket in this episode, this season. We show how her daughter actually has the V serum in her body. We did see that slightly in season 3, while we show a little more of Newman and her daughter and their relationship. But now we get to see full force what her daughter's ability is, which is the most disgusting, creepiest, freaking like Cthulhu, wild alien looking power you can have. Basically, she spits basically four long tentacles that eats and grabs and tears you to pieces. Fucking ridiculously scary. Amazing power and amazing CGI effect for that. Um, so that's basically where episode 1 starts off. We do know now there's two sides. It's the Homelander sides and the Starlight sides. And they both are basically feuding. Obviously, the Homelanders, they are Team Homeland, Team Bot, Team Soups, while the Starlight sides are trying to put more regulation on. They're working closely with the Singer presidential candidacy, and they are wanting to put more regulations, more restrictions on how to get the serum, how to become a superhero, and what soups are able to do in society. Um, so it's kind of like a allegation for allegory for, I guess, gun violence in today's society. You have one side wanting to put a lot of restrictions on guns, while another wants to deregulate the use of guns because they believe guns have more pros than do cons, and vice versa. I'm going to try my best not to be as political. This story is very politically driven, but I'm going to try my best to keep my biases aside. But I like the idea that soups are basically allegories for weapons, while you have one side wanting to regulate and one side wanting to deregulate. Obviously, Homelander is a allegory for also Trump. Like I said, I'm not going to any politics, so take that as you will. But it is very face value. He's going to trial. Trump also went to trial. Trump has his followers who are very stricken by him, or follows him word by word, and so does the Homelander side. And we do show that the new leader of the Warriors is Mothersbaugh. He's taken over lead, as Butcher has basically been AWOL and has been sidelined by MM. Looks like we do show that We do show that Huey is still on team Butcher. He wants Butcher to join to continue being with the boys, while the rest of the group kind of wants to distance himself from him because he is very aggressive, very um, crazy, and he has ruined multiple missions in the past. So they're trying to keep him out of the picture as best they can. Well, Butcher is still trying to just tackle the fact that tackle his mortality. And I love the fact that Butcher is going through a very similar storyline as that of Homelander. We do show in the opening shot, which is a brilliant transition. We see his face looking angry, which we see Homelander every single time, looking angry, stoic, and just dangerously scary. But it zooms out and he's at the bathroom stall, being out a piece of his private hair, pubes, if you will, and he shows that it's gray hair. He's getting old. He's aging, something that relates him very much close to that of Butcher, who is so showing his mortality. So I love how they are very much so paralleling a lot of teams, a lot of groups, a lot of characters in the show. Um, and then uh, that's basically where episode one ends. It's just them trying to find a way to eliminate Newman. They failed spectacularly, and Newman tries to convince Butcher to find all the Red River files, which is showing that Newman was once upon a time in a uh, superhero household, basically learning to control her powers, and she killed a bunch of people. And it's something that she's kept hidden from society and from everyone that she's close to. Nobody knows what happened but Huey, who found that out in season three. And Huey's threatening to release that, or kind of hold it as a contingency in case she does try to go after them. So Butcher arranges basically to find a way to take the files and send it to her so she can do what she wishes with those files. Though while he is in the process of backstabbing the boys and Huey, he hallucinates his wife Becca, and this is a continuation throughout the whole season. From this there on out, is he keeps seeing his wife Becca, who's telling him, "You gotta protect Ryan. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta if you are dying, you gotta go out protecting those that you love, and you gotta make sure that you save face." And it's kind of like his conscious talking for the first time ever in his life. He has a conscious. I think ever since his brother died and his wife disappeared, his conscience kind of disappeared. He kind of went a little crazy, a little AWOL, which we've seen all throughout season one, two, and three. And now his wife is playing the conscious here, telling him, "Hey, don't don't sell yourself short. You have more to offer, and you're not dead yet. And you must protect Ryan before Homelander corrupts the kid." So he decides not to go with Newman and decides that he is 100% Team Huey. The episode ends fairly dramatic, but not as dramatic as prior season episode ones for the prior seasons. But we do show that Huey's dad has suffered a stroke, and who shows up at the end? The mom who's left them when he was 6 years old. The mom enters the hospital room, and apparently we see throughout episode two, three, and four, she left due to a postmortem depression, which is a real thing and it's something definitely that you should definitely sympathize with. And if you are going through depression, definitely find and seek help. BetterHelp is a wonderful system and wonderful tool to use if you're going through such issues, such traumatic experiences. So definitely use that. But she apparently now has power of attorney over Huey's dad's and Huey's dad's life. So basically, his life is in her hands, which pisses off Huey, which kind of leads into what happens in episode two. Episode two is when things kind of start kicking off, and I love the way this episode was filmed, and I love the way everything was just handled. It was oddly funny, yet oddly unnecessarily disgusting. I'll get onto that in a second. Uh, Butcher finally reveals to the boys that he has time, like he's about to die, and the boys kick him out. They basically say, "We don't want you. You're going through your issues, and we don't want you bringing down the team. But we are tasked to bring down Newman." Remember, he has a one set mind on Ryan and Homelander. while the rest of the boys have a set mind due to the CIA working with to eliminate Newman. Um, I forgot to mention in episode one there was a very very sick and dramatic scene where Homelander invites three of his biggest supporters. That was also MM's wife's new husband or new boyfriend. Was one of them that he and MM's daughter apparently had a great bond, and she tasked MM to find her ex just so they can patch things up with the daughter. So MM was basically on a search for Todd, the boyfriend, just to see what's going on, just to make sure he's okay. We do see Todd as one of the three Homelander supporters who was invited to meet Homelander, where Homelander basically convinces the Deep, convinces A Train, and convinces a newly recruited Black Noir, because we do know Black Noir dies at season 3 ending. So we're not sure how this Black Noir fits into the picture just yet. But basically, all three of them, he convinces them to kill the three supporters. And he frames the three supporters that the Starlighters team killed. And he basically has A Train take their dead bodies that was hit in the head by bats and drop them off into a protest that's taking place after Homelander is found not guilty. And they put the blame on, unfortunately, two African American men who were Homeland Starlight supporters. Just showing, unfortunately, that race does take a lot of place and when it comes to riots and protests, and how, unfortunately, the blame always falls to one side and not the other. And Homelander is also recruiting Sister Sage, or just Sage, as she likes to be called, who is considerably the smartest person alive. She has one of the biggest brains and one of the most knowledgeable, and that's her power is she retains information and she memorizes everything, and she's able to think 10 steps ahead. So basically, having a master chess strategist on Team Homelander is terrifying for the rest of the season, and she does some insane stuff throughout the show so far. So that, like I said, episode 2, basically we show Butcher the boys still having their issues, and they follow a alt right, you just can call it QAnon conspiracy theorist soup called Firecracker, who, let's say, has one of the weakest powers ever. She just flick a little bit of light in her hands. Firecracker. And they track her down, and they find out that Sage is trying to convince Firecracker to join Team Homelander via joining the Seven, because she has a big following using her social media outburst and her uh, YouTube, I guess TikToks, or whatever Firecracker releases her videos on, or whatever platform she uses. She has a big following of supporters, of sycophants, people who just follow her word. And she is blaming Starlight for human trafficking, child trafficking, and a bunch of other nefarious acts that would rile up any base. And they, we do see that Sage is trying to convince Firecracker to join Homeland's side because they could use someone who has a media presence and who can convince multiple people. So now you have Homelander and you have Firecracker base just growing bigger and bigger, and they're taking over more and more of the populace of Earth, or I guess of the United States at this point. And Sage gives her one last test: kill the boys, basically. And they have an amazing fight with one of the most disgusting villains and one of the most disgusting superpowers ever, Splinter, which is a firecracker sidekick. And her number one supporter, Splinter, he's also a suit whose ability is splitting in half. And kind of like Duplicate from Invincible, he once you killed the Prime version, all of his clones die. And he's a little bit egotistic, and he has so much admiration for Firecracker. Where one of the most sickest scenes ever is um, when you see Frenchie walk in all of his duplicates eating, humans centipeding each other while looking at a picture of Firecracker. Yeah, weird. But they kill Splinter, and they unfortunately do not able to kill Firecracker as they are basically thrown into a bar mitzvah, and they basically ruin a party, and it's kind of a sad and it's kind of a sick event and thing to take place. A butt naked, a Splinter, Firecracker, and the boys all wrestling, fighting, and going at it. Like I said, they don't really have the greatest powers. Splinter and Firecracker, they're kind of useless power-wise, but it's their ability to control the masses. That's their power. And we see the Sage is just completely just bring in all of these sycophants into Homelander's side via their joining the Seven in order to create a media control the media narrative before anyone else does. And that's a very smart plan. Her plan is to dismantle what we know as the government in place of Homelander, who shoots down and be the knight in white shining armor, saving the world, which is a very smart plan, very sadistic. While this is all going on, Homelander and Sage also organizes Ryan's first public mission. Ryan is Homelander's son and has the same powers as Homelander. And obviously, this is all staged. There's sound, there's actors, there's cuts, there's direction, and lines and stuff. And it's just weird. And it's very much you see Ryan does not like the idea of just being a fake hero. Ryan doesn't know what he wants. He's not sure if he agrees with Homelander. You can see he's having a little push and pull on his head on Butcher Homelander. That's been going on since season 2. So we do see here that during the rescue mission, he goes off script when he sees his dad appear randomly. Homelander was not supposed to be part of the rescue, but he couldn't let Ryan take all of the fame for himself, so he tries to step on Ryan's fame and tells Ryan to push the Sith man, who is disguised as a criminal, as hard as he can. Ryan ends up killing the stuntman, and you can see this hurts Ryan. While Homelander doesn't understand why Ryan is upset about this, it just says they're just cockroaches and they're here for outplay. And Butcher continues to try to force Hand to let him in. Also has a plan to bring in A-Train, as A-Train is also kind of shaky on the Homelander side, and the Deep as well. Both of them don't really like and are terrified of Homelander as one would be if he's your boss. And A-Train kind of shows or kind of releases leak evidence that the two men that was framed to killing the Todd and two others, Homeland supporters, were nowhere near at the time. That they were like 6 blocks away and had nothing to do with the protest and had nothing to do with the murder. So kind of getting them off scot free, which obviously is a good thing. They were framed, and we do show that MM is thinking, hey, if he's willing to do that for us, then he might be willing to be an informant. But we show that Sage is onto everyone, and Sage is very smart, and MM is and not MM, apologize, and A-Train is terrified of continue breaking trust with Homelander due to his own life. Meanwhile, like I said, with Hugh's mom, she basically explains that she has power of attorney, and Huey is kind of threatening to sue her for power of attorney and saying that since you weren't there, I'll take over and I'm going to sue you until you lose. Kind of fucked up to do to your mom, but your mom did lead you in the streets, but there's a story there. And then basically, that's basically where the show itself is continuing on to. We see Homelander is striving or is upset to the fact that he gets all the respect in the world, but he does not feel loved. He still does not feel respected. He wants more, and he doesn't know what he wants. And you can see he's going crazy inside. I think it's 100% his mortality talking. He wants to leave a legacy behind for Ryan, but his ego keeps getting in the way. And that kind of leads into what goes on in episode 4. I'm kind of skipping over some things. The Frenchie storyline, Kimiko storyline. As of now, it hasn't really gone anywhere. It's probably the weakest storyline of the story so far. Kimiko is trying to get her voice back and trying to erase her past, while Frenchie's past keeps coming to haunt him as when he was a hitman. So Not the greatest storylines just yet. There's something there, but we definitely don't want to talk too much about it until we see what happens in the further episodes. Um, we do show that Huey and MM, though, they do infiltrate a meeting between Homelander, Newman, and Sage, who are planning to assassinate Singer, the presidential candidate, and putting Newman in as the presidential pick so she can become president. And Homelander is kind of pissed off at Newman for still not revealing her powers and is trying to force that onto him. Meanwhile, like I said, Ryan is still indecisive on if he's Team Homelander or Butcher and decides to go visit Butcher. Well, Butcher kind of breaks down and tells Ryan he's terrified of dying. And he's terrified of losing his son. He's terrified of losing the one thing that resembles his wife. And that's probably the first time we ever see a little bit of humanity come out of him. And it's sad because Ryan, he was planning to poison Ryan, that way they can kidnap Ryan and take him away from Homelander. And he decides not to at the last second because he cannot do that to the love of his life's kid. He cannot do that to his, to he can't do it to him. And he realizes at the last second. Um, A Train rescues Huey. Apologize. A Train rescues Huey again from Homelander during the whole infiltration. While Homelander finds out, and Homelander kills a whole cast of crew who was performing a fought on ice superhero ice play. And he rescues him, and he basically tells him like, "Hey, I can't be doing this anymore. Like, if they find out, I'm dead." And that's kind of something that A Train is keep fighting for the last couple of season two is if he's going to turn, if he's going to have a redemption arc, and you see he's struggling with that himself. Hugh's mom is still there, and that's what she kind of reveals about her failed suicide attempt, her departure, and she basically breaks down and apologizes for everything. And Homelander is having a mental breakdown and is pissed at Ryan for visiting Butcher. And episode four, like I said, best episode of the show so far, and you see so much happen. Homelander returns to the laboratory where he was raised and torments and kills all the staff except for Barbara, who was the lead scientist, or the lead researcher at the time of his, you know, uh, abuse. Um, Daphne, Hugh's mom, decides to take Hugh Senior off a life support, much to Hugh's anger, and Annie meets with presidential candidate Singer, promises that if he promised to take down Vought, she will rally her troops to be 100% uh, Team Singer. And Singer reveals that he has a plan basically to outlaw all forms of suits regarding military, government work, or private citizen work, basically saying that they're actors and that's all they should be. They should not be in politics, they should not be in government, they should not be any have any representation at all. Um, and Annie, surprisingly, kind of agrees to that. Meanwhile, through Sage gives Firecracker one of the biggest shows ever, a big broadcast right outside of Annie's Starlight Home for Children, where she's basically just doing a. She has this building that she's helping with kids and at-risk teens and just helping people out and just doing a charity fund as well. So Firecracker puts on a big show, basically just trash talking Starlight, trash talking the boy, trash talking Singer, and try to get under Annie's skin. She finally decides to reveal the big bombshell of the episode that Annie had an abortion. Annie and Huey found out they were pregnant prior to, in between season three and season four, and she got an abortion. And that is personal, and she releases personal hospital documents and receipts that is horrible, and she basically mocks Annie, calls her a baby killer, and all these different things that just outrages Annie to the point where Annie brutally beats up Firecracker during the podcast, during the live broadcast, basically ruining any reputation Annie had in the public eyes. Singer basically tells Annie, "Our deal is off, and I'm not working with you anymore. Working with you is going to ruin Singer's reputation to become president." So Singer kind of cuts her off too. Meanwhile, Ezekiel, the pastor guy from the season one with the stretchy arm, basically Mr. Fantastic, he basically finds out that Frenchie and the boys are infiltrating Firecracker's trailer during this whole situation and attacks Frenchie. Butcher intervenes and blacks out, and when he blacks out, his eyes open and there's blood everywhere. Ezekiel's body is scattered. He does not know what happens. That's going to be something also to keep an eye on. Huey asked A Train for one last help, said, "Once you help me with this last time, we are solid, and I'm never going to ask you for something again. I want you to give me I want you to give me V so I can potentially save my father." A Train reluctantly does this and gives it to Huey, and Huey says, "This is it, clean slate. We are good. I'm not going to ask you for anything again, and we are on equal terms." Butcher finds out about this and is pissed, and he basically reveals that he has tried to take me to cure his illness and nothing happened, and that unfortunately sometimes you must let life take place. You must let the mortality take place, and you can see Butcher is definitely maturing up here. Butcher is definitely okay with his death, even though he hates the idea of him perishing. It's kind of like a beautiful moment from Butcher's side when he tried to talk to Hugh and said, "You just gotta let it go." Hugh revisits his father right before the life support is taken off. He holds the compound B in his hand, stares at his dad, and walks away. Decides not to eject him. He goes to get coffee for he and his mom, and when he walks back into the room, his dad is waking up from his coma, and you see blue poison entering his body, compound V. How and who put that in his body? His mom was the only one in the room. I don't know. And his mom surprisingly works for Vought. That much we know. Homelander kills a whole staff of people, like I said earlier. He torments the staff who worked on him in the laboratory, besides Barbara leaving her in what he called the bad room, with a bunch of dead people mutilated all inside the room, blood scattered, and you can see her going crazy. He is psychotic, sadistic, and he is definitely unredeemable at that point. Basically, with the the episode ends, episode 4. Like I said, this is the mid-season break. Now we have 4 more episodes, starting on June 27th onwards till July 18th, the last 4 episodes of the season, and this is the penultimate season. So this is the second to last season. Season 5 is the finale. We do know from the trailers and teasers that some of the Gen V characters will be making an appearance. To what avail, I do not know. How are they going to make a play in the story? I don't know. We do know from the stuff that happened in the forest in Kaldokan University, they were trying to find a way to mass kill all of the soups, basically put them on a leash, and they're also working on a way to take out Homelander. And we do know that Butcher is aware of all of this, and he knows that this is something that is being worked on, and he's willing to help get this work done. So, where I think this is going to take place is we're going to find out that first Butcher's cancer he has, the thing that is letting him hallucinate his wife Becca, and then keeps knocking him out, and things are happening without his control, kind of like what happened in Moon Knight. Blackout, something happens. He's like, "Wait, how did this take place? What happened?" I think the cancer is sentient. I think when he's taken the V, or when he's taken the V to try to save himself from the cancer, it awoken the cancer itself, and the cancer now has a mind of its own. That's what I think is going to happen, and I think it's going to be like a dual personality, kind of like Venom in a sense. The cancer is going to be basically a Venom-like character who takes over his body whenever he needs to have a flight or fight situation. Um, that's what I think Butcher's storyline is going to go. Well, Homelander, I feel like Homelander is going to be the one who kills Sage because he put Sage up to the task, but you could tell he is still unsure about the whole Sage situation because he is a little on the egotistical side and he doesn't like somebody smarter than him. So I think once he gets what he needs from Sage, which is ultimate power, ultimate control, he's going to try to find a way to take out Sage. But I do think Sage is working double. Sage knows that she can't live if Homeland is alive, and Sage knows that her lifespan is limited. So I think Sage is also planning to humanize Homelander in the eyes of the public by humiliating him to a point where he's going to lose a lot of his fan bases in the future. And I think that's her point. She doesn't like Homelander. She doesn't like Bot. She made that very much clear. She doesn't like the racism, the sexism, the hatred, ideology that Bot represents. So I do think she is planning to take out both the boys and the Vought, so she can be the one in power. And we do see that A Train has the as A Train and Wine both are having that push and pull aspect where should I join the boys, should I join Butcher, or should I stay loyal to Homelander? I think at the end of this season, one of them is going to die. I think A Train might be the one to die. I don't think they're gonna kill Brian just yet. I think he's endgame. I think he's gonna be the one who takes out Homelander in season 5. But I do think A Train is not making it out of the season. They've humanized A Train a few times now. That he talked to his brother and his nephews. You can see he has a deep care for his family, even though they don't like him anymore due to the fact that he's a fraud, he's a liar, he's a cheat. I do think that this is ultimately going to lead to his eventual downfall. I do think Sage is going to be onto him very soon, and Sage is going to find out that he's still the V. He's been working with the boys on and off, and she's going to leave a breadcrumb trail for Homelander to find out. Um, the Deep, I really don't know where his storyline's going. I really haven't ever known where his storyline was going. He went from a member of the Seven to an outcast member of the Seven to someone who was kicked off the Seven to someone who rejoined the Seven, but is terrified of Homelander and is trying to just show, trying to get the respect of Vought. I really don't know where he's going and his storyline's going at. I do think A Train is going to end up allowing Butcher to take over the boys once more. A Train is handling kind of poorly. He does not have a tight grip, and people are just running all over him. Like I said, Frenchie and Kimiko are having their own side storyline with the Shining Lights and his past and her past, and he has no idea what's going on at that end. And I think he's going to realize that he needs assistance, and Butch is going to come in and take over again. Newman, I do think she's going to, within the next couple episodes, release or come out clean about her being a superhero due to Homelander's push. And I do believe she's going to either snap or she's going to find a way to kill Singer and frame it on the boys. She might blame it on Starlight now that Starlight and Singer's relationship is over. But I'm not sure that's going to go. One thing I gotta say is I'm very upset that Kimiko and Frenchie are not an item. We do see that Frenchie now has a relationship with Colin, a guy who's working with Starlight and the Starlight Foundation. Unfortunately, it does look like Frenchie killed all of Colin's family and parents back when he was a hitman, and he is in a deep sadness and depression over that, and he's trying to figure out a way to address his past. And I do think that I do think that his mom, Hugh's mom, is the one who gave his dad Compound B, and I think Hugh's mom coming to visit Huey was all set up by Vought to throw Huey and the boys off the game. I do think the coma that his dad went through was not medically sound. I think it was a forced coma done by Vought. I don't trust anything Vought is doing, and I don't trust the mom. I know she had that deep, actually sad depression scene, and I definitely feel for her. But then the end of the episode 4, when they have the unfortunate and yet fortunate reawakening of Hugh Senior, I don't know how he got the V, and if he did get the V by his mom, I don't think his mom is a good person, personally speaking. I think that's for the most part where I want to leave that. These 4 episodes has been very entertaining, very interesting, and has a lot of political underlying themes and has a lot of emotional and parallel themes as well between both castmates and both villains and heroes. And it's definitely blurring the line of who a villain is and who a hero is because we see Homelander had a deep suffering childhood trauma, which is why he became who he became. And we also see the same thing with Butcher. Butcher had a horrible family treatment lifestyle, and it's why he is the way he is. So I like the parallel as a hero who should be Huey, and Butcher is not technically the best people ever either. Overall, Easy nine. Easy. This is definitely a theater popcorn reaction TV show. Here, the popcorn perspective. If you do not know, we have three categories for ratings. We have homemade popcorn, we have bird popcorn, or we have theater pop. You can theater pop being the best of the best, homemade being okay, and burnt steel disgusting popcorn being obviously the worst of the worst. This is definitely theater pop. Definitely watch it. Definitely give this a go. I cannot wait to see how the season ends. I cannot wait to see what happens next with the group. Um, and I'm gonna leave you guys at that. Thank you so much for joining. We'll definitely catch you guys on the next one. Keep an eye out. We will be going over House of the Dragons, Acolyte, and I do know my co-friend, my co host here, Jay. He has his own videos that he's going to be releasing here regarding anime, Demon Slayer, and all of that fun stuff. So keep an eye on his videos as well. But I'll leave you guys at that. Thank you all.